to welcome Professor Sharaf Bannaga. He was an academician and he practiced the town planning practically, and he was a minister of town planning for more than 10 years. So he has both experience. Now he's a consultant, and we are also, it gives us a great honor to welcome his wife, his son, and members of the Sudan mission to the United Nations. Both of them are here. So me personally, I feel so happy. This is my culture. This is my people. I'm here feeling really good. And I feel very good, and I feel very happy that he's going to share with us his experience of town planning. And if you have questions later on, you can ask him. Let us go. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for the presentation. In fact, I'm glad to be here. And I feel once I make this presentation, to be in itself, it's a success. I came this morning, flying maybe 30,000 miles from home, just to share you our experience. And to contribute to whatever knowledge you have, and this will be an honor. The presentation, as you can see from the first slide, is towards understanding cities' dynamics and the need for urban restructuring. And more of our cases will be highlighted from Greater Khartoum. As you know, cities are currently under constant change. They change a lot, especially if cities are in the third world or the least developed countries, because of building, rebuilding, and also you see other old cities or developed cities, they can reach a state of bankruptcy or decay. Okay. So cities are dynamic at all it is past or in future. Many cities, whether developed, as I said, or undeveloped, are facing severe changes and consequential changes in their spatial distribution or their physical structure. Just to share our opinion whether what we call urban restructuring. Urban restructuring is not reconstruction. It's not rebuilding. It's not renovation. It's a complete urban reformation to exercise the transformation needed, e.g. to correct mistakes of the past, advance urban efficiency, build sustainable city, etc. But the purpose is that when we talk about urban restructuring, we mean we are going to restructure the physical configuration of the urban form. Then why is restructuring? Why we do restructuring? In case of developing countries, we need to correct the physical distortions, because people there, they build according to their own standards. They are not authorized. They squat, and they make shifts buildings or shanty towns, something like this. Then we have to treat this squatting And we have to strengthen the economic and social structures. And also for other cities, like the socialist cities, now they are integrating into the global economy. And also, we may also restructure city to provide space to accommodate new activities or to effectuate optimal use of space. In our case, we may use it to bring justice between residents because, as you know, most of the developing countries are ruled by the Europeans and the colonizers, and they distribute land inequitably. And so we need to bring justice between people. For developed cities, they need to undertake a regeneration because there are some decay in some cities. Their industrial area are becoming very old. They need to revitalize, accommodate the population impacts. Some cities, they are shrinking due to negative population growth. And so they need to revive the most deprived areas, create new spaces, adopt sustainable city models. This is also a new doctrine for UN and for all the planet inhabitants. Also, you can consider overall urban equality or quality, determine the abundance of public space, beautified by man-made landscape and green architecture. Also effectuate optimal use of space and absorb recent changes. So whether it is a developed or undeveloped or developing city, you need to restructure, to stop, evaluate the situation and restructure the city so that you can prepare it for future. One of the key drivers of urban restructuring is demographic trends. In developing countries, we have hyper growth. And in developed countries, we have negative growth. So for that reason, we need to restructure so that to accommodate the surplus population in developing cities and also to regenerate the decayed parts of the developed cities. The developing world average built-up area now densities declined from 174 in 1990 to 135 person per hectare in the year 2000. Asian cities shrank from 217 to 160 in the same period of year. The majority of the poor of the developing population are found in the outskirts of developing cities. This is contrary to what you have in developed cities, where the poor, you have them downtown. Also changes in the economy. Now we have, the economy is changing a lot. A process where you have the system of employment is changing. The main center is changing to polycenter. Cities are, in fact, benefiting from communication, from information technology, and also benefit from a network of cities. So, economy is also a major driver for restructuring. And of course, technology is now one of the most fundamental transformations. You used to have industries which consume a large or expanse of space. Now you can have a small industry based on knowledge-based technology, and it does the work for a very limited area. So the technology is now playing a very good part in changing the way cities they develop themselves in industry. well, this is, we use if we take this as an example, in Khartoum, we used to have a very large area of the city for textile factories. Now it can be very small. And also politician interventions also give way for restructuring, especially if they are politically motivated. Inappropriate decisions may lead to war, disasters, destroy cities, as is the case we see in Iraq. This used to be Iraq before the war. This is Iraq after the war. So we need to restructure. And it's not only to do urban renewal or to renovate. When you have disaster like this, you need to restructure the whole thing. Many developed cities are facing negative demographic growth, as you said. They have implemented a restructuring program designed to strengthen inner cities, to reduce the oversupply of housing, and to upgrade those cities affected by population decline. However, small number of key developed cities, particularly London, New York, are still or continuously developing. They are not like cities, for example, of the socialist bloc, where you have the inner cities are decaying, or even in most of the old cities of Europe. Now, some countries, they are obliged by, agreements between them in the region surrounding that they do or they adopt urban sustainability. And this you need to also to rearrange the whole space so that you can absorb urban sustainability within the urban fabric. For example, in Europe, they say that they want to have in 2015 every house to be an eco house, to be sustainable. Not for the new development, but also for the old settlements. All houses, they have to be sustainable. Sometimes you do some rearrangement to accommodate one of the events of the, for example, the Olympic or the football club, the cup, football club or something. So you need to arrange the space to attract and to compete with the cities to have that event established in the city. That's also, now we have also docks, harbors, they are going a lot of transformation. This is a plan in Melbourne in Australia, and you see this was the plan, but this picture is the real one. Now they have completed these buildings. This is Cabrini in what's called greenhouse project in Chicago. The difference between develop and developing, they do massive programs. Developed cities, they pick the areas that require restructuring so that to revitalize the space, to have an efficient urban form, something like this. So this is in Chicago. This area was restructured, and now they call it green campaigns. Sometimes you do it for sustainability. This is old and new Philadelphia. Sometimes we go all the way and do you know, something that you dream of. This is Canberra, and this is, you know, they want to make it green, to make it sustainable. So we have different processes of restructuring, setting spatial reorganization. In developed, as I said, regeneration, land revitalization, agriculture enhancement, or green agriculture. And so cities are implementing 3 different models of urban restructuring to direct urban development. Intervention by cities of the developed nations, or the North now they call it, aims to control decay and to arrange for depopulation impacts. And thus they adopt partial restructuring, as I said, to enhance their urban efficiency and increase function diversity. The developing cities of the South, or cities of the South, models aim to control rapid growth and have no choice but to pursue massive restructuring operations to correct their physical distortion, as I said, correct their past mistakes, and appropriate their spatial distribution and accommodate the surplus population. The socialist nation, the third model, aim is to integrate into the globalized economy because they used to be outside this umbrella. Many European cities have experienced regeneration processes over the last 3 decades, and these have gained strength in planning, practice, and urban governance, when special attention is paid to it in Leipzig Charter on Sustainable European Cities. This is one of the agreements that the European cities they have to observe, and so as I said, by 2015, every house should be based on ecological consideration. Spain is the country that did most of the restructuring. Barcelona itself rearranged the inner space and provided very good example. This is all the new, also in Barcelona. This is revival of the Port Nou, which is near the Olympic city, the Olympic game, which was, arranged in Barcelona. And afterwards, they need to restructure the whole thing because, they have to accommodate the changes that happened during the Olympic event. And sometimes you do something for landscape, like what the Madrid did. They, made an expensive program of 400 million euros to do parks and to make pedestrian routes, corridors. Copenhagen, when they want to prepare themselves for globalization and to attract investors, they find no way except to leave the old city and go for a new city. Because the old city, it contains their heritage, their culture, everything. And so when they try to restructure the city, they felt that they are going to destroy most of their culture and heritage. And so they did what we call in planning frogging. They just frog and made another city, and this is the difference between the new and the. Also, Warsaw, followed Copenhagen and also developed a new city, so that to attract investors and to be part of the new globalization and communication information era. These are the cities. So, Germany is a good example because they have, received the socialist cities, and the socialist cities, they have both. They have decay, and they have to change their economy to a liberal economy and globalize their economy. These are examples from Munich. That's all. Also, US also did the same. They started with Pittsburgh. They have what they call the Golden Triangle. This is between three rivers, and they developed the city into a nice place, as you can see. This part used to be a decayed part. Now it's becoming. Troy used to be the fairest city in the world with regard to industry. Also, because of the decay of industry, they have done, or they have made an urban design to accommodate the new status of the city, where it lost most of its industrial heritage. Now, instead of being I think Detroit used to be the fifth city in US. Now, they have only population is less than 1 million because of the decay of the industry. As I said, the Eastern Bloc, they just do restructuring to promote globalization, and maybe the Chinese cities could be the best examples. A number of Chinese cities have been under continuous restructuring since 1980. CBDs and developed CBDs, meaning that central business districts, developed zone in China, have become frontiers of globalization with polycentric urban development model. They try to go or to follow the steps of the industrial countries and to go for high-rise building, and they are, now becoming similar to industrial cities. Well, this is, you can say this is New York. Shanghai, this is Shanghai, and this is they call the city of the cities, which is Hong Kong. Well, we come to the other part of the story, which is the developing countries. And these are, now witnessing very high population growth. And cities are extending endless expansions. And you can see patterns of urban form where you have high-rise building and unauthorized also settlements, even closer to this is in Dhaka. Tehran did a restructuring program to accommodate the self-exploration coming from the for migration, internal migration and internal displacement. Also Brazil, Sao Paulo in Brazil did the same. In Colombia also. This program have been supported by the World Bank and Habitat, the Center for Human Settlements, the UN Center for Settlements. It appears by majority of developing cities that the hypergrowth or the very, very rapid growth, one of its results is complexity of urban management, difficulty in managing cities, shortage of housing and everything, inefficient transport system, absence of disposal liquid and solid waste, deterioration of city landscape. Developing cities are therefore in need of massive operations to restructure and enhance their urban structure to cope with the infrastructure emerging situation and to absorb the huge number of self-exploitation. And we can give now Khartoum as a good example. This is Khartoum. We have, it is situated in between the three Niles. This is old Khartoum when they established it. It was established in 1824 by the Turks who invaded Sudan and ruled the country. Then we have the British coming out also, and they restructured Khartoum. So Khartoum, in fact, underwent several restructuring processes during the Turks, during the Mahdiya, which is a national regime, then during the British. And when we see the march of Khartoum through the years, we find that Khartoum is extending very fast. In 1956, during Independence Day, Khartoum used to be 3% of the total population of Sudan. Now Khartoum is 20% of population of Sudan. And it is physical block is extending everywhere, although it's guided by the Nile. The three rivers shape the urban form or the physical block. This is how it extends. You can see that. So in order to perform the restructuring program, Khartoum established a new management, adopted appropriate legislation, established sound institutional framework, and used intensively geoinformatics and sound spatial planning. And in doing so, it strengthened the decentralized rules so that to empower the community. But Khartoum has many potential, has a lot of potentials. It has water, it has land, it has energy. Agriculture, human resources. So the reformation is not difficult because of these potentials. One of the programs used or is exercised to accommodate surplus population, treat all squatter, to improve physical environment, dilute dense informal settlements, and restructure transportation network, and exercise spatial reorganization. So that's a massive program. I just want to brief about it. They started by establishing a number of townships so that they can take whoever homeless to it, and call them Dar es Salaam, which is cities of peace. And they also encourage whoever wants to develop housing program, or whether private or government, to do so that at least to solve the problem of housing. They have different programs for granting land plots, because it was very difficult to have to give people built houses, which is only limited cases. Which what they did is 39,400 plots, whereas the total given on sites and services 414,133. This is 1.25% or 1.25 of the number of plots which were already existent in Khartoum. So they expanded the area 1.25 more. in order to accommodate the same restructuration. So as I said, restructuring for Khartoum is an ongoing process, restructured by Mahdi. Also they demolished Khartoum, Mahdi itself. Restructured Abdullahi Mahdi deputy when he restructured in Roman, opened some roads. Also restructured by Kitchener. This is a British general who demolished Khartoum and rebuilt it again. Also relocation of settlements was not a new idea. This is a British barracks which were constructed in an area and they relocate a village called Buri eastward in order to build. So relocation also is an ongoing process. In 1990, Khartoum squatting and unauthorized or irregular settlements are shown in colors, which is, at that time it was 2/3 of the population were squatters. So a program was made where the yellow is replanning, the red is cooperation, and the blue is relocation or demolition. This is a type of urban pattern that was in Khartoum at that time. You see it dense, without infrastructure, and even without without any access roads. So clearance of the settlements was done for when the settlement is physically disturbed or worse, or people are not attached to the land. Planning is done when you can do planning for a settlement and try to legalize the status of the population, and also incorporation. These are the type of settlements. This is old and new, same one. Old and new, same one. And this is one of the neighborhoods when it was planned. Just trying to be as fair as possible. This is before. All these we have. Well, that is the Habub, they didn't when we made this picture, that was Habub at that time, which is sandstorms all over. Then after the treatment, you see the silhouettes, building lines, and are established, and even electricity are installed. These are buildings which were constructed in those filthy places. For Sudanese guys, this is Ish Falati building. And this is the Bragni Lane, which is in the Sik Hadid, what you call it, railway. And then they have, even made something for recreation. This is a stadium. And even the urban form is propping up. This is trees plantation. And so the program targeted 3 million you can imagine what type of program this is, to legalize and to treat 3 million people. And the other one, which is self-transportation accommodation, that was 2.5 million. So it is 5.5 million that the program solved their problems. But also, the problem accompanied with schools and social cultural centers, with health institution. When the program, or in 208, the red one is the regularized settlements or plots. And the black one, those which were already regularized, which is, say a formal settlements. So you can see it's even greater than what we have as formal settlements. And this is accompanied also by transportation lines, by network of infrastructure, so that at least to strengthen the urban fabric and try to make services to be accessible. Then we started to the authorities started to reform the center. That was, we were talking about the whole city or the whole Greater Khartoum. Now we're talking about the center, because the center also needs to be reformed. This is really, the center is like this. Taking the 3 cities, this one, plus this one, plus this one. This used to be a center, it's a flat, very low densities. You can see it here. The areas along the Nile, are very low densities. And the center is dead during the evening time, because most of it is government institutions. A plan is made, and something of this. This is a place called Sont, which is not far away from Putin. This is the new shape of the center. Now you can see some high-rise building, increasing the population density and built-up area, so that to make the urban area efficient. These are the buildings we are seeing now. And we high-rise buildings are popping up in the center, which used to be, and also the old markets for fruits and and fish and everything, replaced by a very nice commercial center. Also, some government departments were relocated, and instead these are the areas where relocation is taking place. This is the mechanical and box, and this is the military area in Khartoum. You can see one of the problems of the center is river crossing. We have two bridges to save a very large river. Now this is in place of that area. This is that area which used to be docks or river transport area. Now it is transformed in what we call Aqariya building, which is huge complexes and building financed by the water company or by another government. Also, there is a relocation of incompatible functions within the center, like prison, Ruman prison, Khartoum prison, barracks, police barracks, incompatible functions pave the way for expansion of the strong function creeping. So the commercial center is now creeping to include all the incompatible functions because the center is a very strong function. This used to be the barracks, although they make maintenance and painted it, but they used to be more lousy than this area. In Druman prison. And then we have the new police headquarters in Khartoum instead of the old barracks of the police jailers. All to the the wholesale market, what you call it Suq Arabi exchange, and we have new models of markets. We have markets distributed on the localities. This is in Bahri or Bannaga. And all these are, clear. This is the tanneries, slaughterhouses. Also, there used to be in the center horse stables near the cinema, and then instead you have some, education institutions. And this is this area used to be Abu Jinzir, and there is an area of municipality of Khartoum. All this is cleared now, and it is going to be a park in the center. You can see it now. It's like this. The other thing is to have access to and from center. That was one of the difficulties facing the urban authority. How to connect the center, this one, with the three towns together and have river crossing. This is what used to be in the center because accesses were not available. You can see we need, for example, a river crossing here. The airport is also making a barrier. This is also another barrier, which is the army, holding a very good places within the center. This is the eastern part of the center. And you see how the development is flat and very low. Instead, now the army is making high-rise building in order to. This is one of the barriers of the that deny access to the center. Now it is on the way that we try to surpass the army premises. Also, there is the railway track which divide the center, and we need to have crossing or to change the track, but they are not what they are doing, like this. Still have problem with this. Then you have to extend the transportation lines of the center. This is Nile Avenue, and and other intervention through the railway station and also through Jama Street and other lines of transportation. Now we have the Nile Avenue extended. This is how it used to be. It's wide. Some sort of recreation is here. Then we added more. They added more river crossings so that they can, connect and bridge the center together. This is McNeil Bridge. Stoti Bridge. This is the Mraz Bridge, and it has some sort of urban. This is 2 times already. This is McNeil. But still, we have the airport not yet. The problem of the airport as a physical barrier, not yet.
Is it a video?
Also, some relocation of incompatible urban function outside the metropolis has been also exercised, like Quiet Nile and Gamar Terrain, slaughterhouses, junkyards. So these are the things now. This is instead of the barracks, we have building like this. It used to be, these are the things which were changed into barracks. So I don't think I can go more into details, but this is a massive program that Khartoum implemented, and it's changed the face of the town, I think. And now we can have development anywhere within the metropolis of Khartoum. Thank you.
One or two questions. I'm going to start with questions. Yeah, actually,
You know the area.
yeah, we are very interested. I know what he's talking about. And it is restructuring. My question is, sometimes some of the restructuring, I know Khartoum very well. There are some historical areas and there are open spaces in Khartoum. They have been demolished, and at the same time, they built high-rises and so on and so forth. So is this trend going to be going? Because there are many open spaces has been built and so on. So is this part of the structuring, or this is something being done?
If you are talking about the center, that was not correct. But if you are talking about the areas where where we have informal settlements. And as you know, this is the problem is due to, when people they come from, they rush in, and they build their shanty dwellings unit. They were not recognized. And so, for those people to be served, they need to go to the old area to be served, to find school, to find hospital. To where, so we used to have a lot of settlements, unauthorized, not legalized. The question was they don't want to serve it so that to discourage people from, but they did, stop the people from coming. So the problem was aggravated until there was no solution except to do the restructuring. But use of the old area is due to establishment or development of projects to serve the informal population, because it was not possible to make services for them in areas which were not recognized at that time anyway. But in the center, that is not it's not happening unless there are you have some stresses from some governments, something like this. But it's not say a general trend. Yeah.
I have a very similar question. So that it's not a general trend to build high rises to replace slums. So you're talking about the city's goal is to create densification, urban densification,
Yeah.
but at the same time to dilute dense informal settlements.
At the same time,
To dilute the dense.
to dilute the
informal
population.
settlements.
Yeah.
So is a way to accomplish the dilution of the slums and at the same time densification, would that mean high-rise buildings? Is that a good way? Is that a cost-effective or a cheap way to deal with slum populations?
No, the densification is for the center,
Okay.
which used to be, the center used to be made of buildings that belong to the government, ministries, institutions, and this center is overwhelmed by these buildings, which people they work during the day, and after say 5 o'clock, the center is dead because nobody is there, because most of them are government buildings, institutions. But in the areas where you have the slums and the squatters, there is no way we can make high-rise buildings because the people they cannot afford such type of buildings. So the densification, we needed to have it in the center, and as you know, this is an international type of agreement that you have to, you have to do something to stop climate change, and this is one of it, is to have compact type of pattern for densification. That's it.
Right, but not for slums.
No, for some, they don't even afford to pay the very small fees for granting them plots. Yeah. Yeah.
So we noticed that there was close proximity of other institutions, like you mentioned, prisons and the military service.
Yeah.
As construction continues to expand out, you mentioned it was going to continue expanding out. Would those institutions also move further out, or would they be part of the new development?
Well, if you are in a developing country, you see, the influence of the army. It's not something easy for the army to try to surpass it, or at least to open some roads. They need to stay out there. But it's now they are, instead of moving out completely, they want to use the area with high-rise building in order to economize on the area, and also for them is to sell this area so that they can get more finance for them. So this is it solves our problem for and also solve their problems.
One more question? Fasil,
This is a long question. What are the power relationships? In order to do everything that you described there, there needs to be a plan. There needs to be a planning office, planning department. Even in Western countries, and typically much more so in developing countries, planners have not much power.
Who has not much
planners? People
planners,
who do
yeah.
plans.
Yeah. All those, yeah.
So, what is the relationship between the professionals who do the planning, the city government, and since this is the national capital, the national government? Who has a say, and in former British colonies, many former British colonies, they now established for cities like Khartoum a corporation, where the corporation acts as a city government, as the executive, with quite a lot of power and a little bit of political independence. How does this work in Khartoum?
Well, to tell you the truth, politicians are always overwhelming. And the professionals' decisions, sometimes if you satisfy the politician and the high-ranking officials of the government, then it may be executed. Otherwise, you have to convince the higher government, and if you don't have higher government approval, whatever you have planned will fail. That's the reality. It's not the decision of the professional. No. It's not solely.
Okay, one more question and then. Okay, thank you very much.